All right, everyone, welcome back. This is Aluminum Tower. Thanks so much for joining. As always, we're going to be doing the sign of Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising for now until the end of May, pretty much. I know this reading's coming in a bit late, but I wanted to just go ahead and have a bit of a pause, rest, and break. So that way I could just kind of recalibrate everything. I just recently celebrated my solar return. So to all those in the Moo crew, happy birthday to you. And we're going to go ahead and see what takes place for all the fire signs for today's readings. This is going to be for the sign of Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. And we'll see what's going to take place for this particular period for you. As we know, we've got quite a few things shaking up the terrain, and this is actually going to reflect quite a bit in your reading as well. However, we do see here that your card is the Storm. And the Storm is basically going to come from the two decks that we've got here. The first deck is the Wild Unknown Tarot. We've also got the archetypes that go with it, the archetype oracle decks. So I'm going to read you a little story time with everyone, about the storm. This is about chaos, the whirlwind, and the disorder. So possessing an energy much like the tarot's Tower card, the storm undoes all that is. Everything that was solid, known, and relied upon is stripped away by the winds of fate. The ground becomes the sky becomes the center, and then the center disappears. The storm is a great equalizer. No matter how far we've come on the path, no matter our age, wealth, or wisdom, we can't hide from its savage winds. Their disturbing howl stirs anxiety and makes it impossible to see and think straight. You must wait it out. If you try to fight the storm, you will lose. A better option is to seek temporary shelter and a reliable friend. When all else fails, go within. There, for a moment, you settle in the eye of the storm. So this is about being obliterated, essentially. And we always think about a lot of things that come into our life that stir up these types of feelings or energies. You know, you can have everything going great for yourself, and then all of a sudden something comes over to knock down your Legos. You know, you feel like you built this amazing tower for all the world to see, and then all of a sudden something just, you find something's not quite right with the foundation. The whole thing starts to sink, or you end up in a situation like Dubai, where they built this lovely series of ivory towers, only to find out that Iranian shaheeds are not going to allow them to stand for much longer. Yeah, it's just these types of things. You know, you feel you've made all this progress, all this change, all of these wonderful things that you've brought into your life, and then for some reason the universe says, nah, it's not good enough. And it can be quite demoralizing, but maybe there's a reasoning behind it. But we'll find out a little bit more as we read the cards. So for that, that's what we get here. That's the central theme behind your reading, which is the storm. And we see a lot of different types of storm deities throughout the global pantheon. We have deities like Yahweh, Jehovah, which was actually an Israelite storm deity from antiquity, which was chosen out of a pantheon of Israeli, polytheistic beliefs to become its main deity. You have Set from, the Egyptians. You have Thor, Odin, to an extent. From the Norse pantheon, you have Zeus and Neptune, which are also storm deities as well. So that said, we talk about these types of beings and why they are the way they are, which is to shake things up and to make sure that things do not stay the way as they always have been. And if we can get really comfortable in our way of thinking and the way that we choose to do everything with our life, and sometimes the universe may say, it's not really good enough. It's not what we want you to continue to strive for, because it's time for you to move things forward and continue to grow, develop, and evolve. To just rest in your laurels and just to be comfortable in life. The universe isn't going to have any of that shit. So, just get ready, because when things are at peace, in my personal opinion, when things are at peace, that means that the universe is reloading its guns. So why is the storm coming? What is causing this storm to come? We have two swords and what is causing this one to come? Two swords in the reverse and five of pentacles. Anything more? All right. So I have the King of Pentacles in the reverse. We have the Seven of Pentacles in the upright. Five of Pentacles, Two of Swords in the reverse. I honestly, to God, think that the global economy is going to cause some issues for your finances. And as bad as it sounds, I'm also a Sagittarius ascendant, but I feel like, when you're comfortable in a certain period that you think, oh yeah, I'm working, everything's going to be fine. And then, some idiot orange cunt wants to start a war in the Middle East and then also create chaos for everyone's shipping and supply lines. Additionally, their ability to access fuel and fertilizer. So that said, we're going to see probably some economic disasters and headwinds, to say the least, that will create probably some issues for you in your specific profession. I can assume that you're going to be able to weather the storm, but we'll just have a look at it quickly. So in the recent past, we have this here. So we have the Three of Cups in the reverse. And this is the Queen, no, not the Queen, the Page of Swords in the reverse as well. So maybe in the recent past, you went through a period in which you had co-conspirators, people working behind your back to actually create chaos for your specific profession. And what this did, this forced you to actually kind of strategize so that way you could find a way out of the problem into a better solution. And oftentimes when we have the Queen, oftentimes when we have the Page of Swords in the reverse, we're talking about a person who is experiencing things vicariously. They're looking in the distance. They're looking in the background so that they're not found out. Sometimes the Page of Swords can be about saying things that are very harsh and severe. Sometimes, that page wielding their sword around, swinging whatever they can without a thought or a care in the world, that can actually create a lot of damage. So whatever it is that you saw here, somebody may have been using their words to create problems for you in the recent past. And because of this, you're finding now that this is something that you want to kind of monitor. I could see, it's kind of put you in a situation where you feel stuck, potentially trapped, but also, I would say more so, proactively looking at the situation to understand what it's about, to get a better perspective on it. And thinking about all of those things that took place in your past, where you did have the kind of traitorous people, where you did have, the people who were spying on you, potentially speaking behind your back, causing problems for you in the shadows of the workplace or in the shadows of your love life. This could also be related to your friend circles. Now, pentacles can be equally the people that you value, not simply just the cups, the Three of Cups in the reverse being about, spilt milk and things that you have to worry about in relationship to your social circles and the people that you feel an emotional connection to. But it can also just say to you that, in order to really get over that, you have to have a new perspective on the way that you approach life and deal with it. And I think that's what you have been trying to do in the past. With this new challenge that's coming up, because Virgo did have this challenge, and to an extent, Taurus did as well, to a much lesser extent. Currently, what you will be going through is a way to strategize, and I did mention that word before. The reason why is because things are not exactly clear on how you're going to proceed. So you may be looking at, say, for example, this is the situation with the Strait of Hormuz and the way that the world is bracing for a storm that's coming in. Because you have a pig-headed piece of shit, which I'm going to call him that on here, because this causes problems for everyone and no one benefits from it, even if you were to win against Iran. But Iran is clearly not going to lose this war. I have talked about that in the past with previous readings, and I stand by that even in the current political climate. When industry dries up and when people lose their jobs en masse because companies cannot function without their essential supplies and fuel and oil of certain kinds, we're going to find a situation that makes us sit on a knife's edge. And this is going to be you strategizing about it because you know that the way forward is not quite clear. I'm going to pull another card just to kind of see what this is all about. Yeah, Six of Swords in the reverse. The way forward is going to be very tricky. It's going to be very rocky, not going to be easy, to get through that. However, you will be able to come out on the other side if you strategize properly. What you are concerned about, not so much is that your way forward is going to be difficult, but you're not certain if it's going to be difficult as you traverse this tricky period that we have going in 2026. Now, moving into the future, Eight of Wands in the reverse, clarified by the Eight of Pentacles, clarified Eight of Wands in the reverse one more time. Yeah. Queen of Swords in the reverse, Eight of Pentacles in the upright. Anything else? Yeah. Seven of Wands in the reverse. So it seems to me like there's going to be, in the near future, you're going to start feeling that they're going to, challenges start to crop up. It's going to be difficult for you to do your job. Maybe it's going to be difficult for your life. You won't be able to fill up at the petrol station. You won't be able to fill up at, you won't be able to stock up at the supermarket. Things are going to get hard for not just you, but for everyone. Because with that storm card, I mean, it's not just a storm that happens in one person's life. Everyone that's hit by a storm covers a wide swath of the population. It can affect an entire area. It can affect family, but it's not restricted or limited to one geographical area. This is a storm for everyone. And what I would say to you is that this is kind of a warning that you need to prepare accordingly, just in case shit does hit the fan in the near future, because there's a lot of things going on in this world right now that are leading to a knife's edge, which we have in the UK. We have this nonsense with the Strait of Hormuz. We have we have a collapsing government under this, I'm not going to say it on here for fear of being locked up by the Met, going out of their jurisdiction. And additionally, you have, supply shortages, fuel shortages, and a strong amount of uncertainty, based on what's going to take place in the job market. So what is important for you to do? It's going to be important for you to just prepare accordingly. Save your money, save your time, have an exit strategy in case you live somewhere where things might get rough. I'm going to pull a card of advice just to make sure that we're kind of on the right path. Because the outcome of this, it's not great. I'm not going to lie. We got 2 9s, which indicate near completion. But this is 9 of Wands in the reverse, 9 of Cups in the reverse, which is kind of just like resignation. That's the word that I get here. Whether that's you resigning or someone else resigning, I have no idea. Let's find out. Sagittarius resigning, or is someone else resigning? You upright, someone else reverse. Yeah. So you upright. And we get the Ace of Pentacles with that. One of two things could happen. It could be, with this Ace of Pentacles, is probably because you get offered something new. So maybe it's not all that bad, you know? You might find that it's really difficult for you to do things where you are, and then you might just start looking for a new opportunity elsewhere. For example, you're working in a job that's severely affected by all the crazy shit going on in society, and you're just like, you know what? I think I might need to start working for this company instead of the current company. So that way I'm not shit out of luck when things go wrong. Tell me more about that. All right. Yeah. Chariot. When it comes to the Chariot and the Ace of Pentacles, that means you're moving on to a new opportunity, really, to be honest with you. So it's not that bad. That's the Sagittarian way. It's always about, you know, having that lucky streak that allows you to get out of a really horrible situation. I pulled some other cards about what was going to take place earlier on in the reading. And we have the Ace of Wands and the Six of Cups. So maybe you go back to something that gives you a bit more passion, and that's something that you're fondly tied to emotionally, maybe in the recent past or in the distant past. And now you're coming back to that. But that might be leading you to reconsider everything that you built for yourself to date. You know, maybe what you're doing now might not be the right path, and you might want to go back to something that makes you feel whole. And we can also pull another card. Will Sagittarius find a new work, find a new job upright, or stay with the current job reverse? Okay, well, I find two indications that you will stay with your current employer. You even get the Five of Cups and the Eight of Cups. So Eight of Cups is about not walking away from something. Five of Cups is getting over the disappointment in the reverse. So 5 plus 8 is 13 cups in the reverse. 1 plus 3 is 4. And that brings us, yeah, missing an opportunity potentially. I'm not sure. But it seems a bit messy. If I had to just use my intuition when it comes to this reading, I would just say to you, make sure that you plan accordingly. Start putting your feelers out there in case there are other opportunities that come up, in case your current job opportunity or, you know, your current employer is not capable of weathering this storm. And additionally, what I would say is that try to stay on the positive about the situation that you're embroiled in. It's not going to be easy for anyone. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention also, we've got the plague coming back, hantavirus, you know, a variant of the plague. So we're going to need to see how that pans out too. It seems like, you know, they're pouring all the seals out from, you know, Revelations to try to get everyone cornered into this disastrous, you know, hodgepodge of, you know, crazy situations. We'll see. I don't really know what else to say about the Sagittarius, but I know that you'll make a way through it. And I think that you'll come out on top a lot better than you think or what you expect. Do your best to plan accordingly, find the opportunities that you need, and the advice for Sagittarius. What's the advice for Sagittarius? So, yeah, again, what I just said. So, you have King of Wands, which means this is your card as well. This is about you getting out there, taking control of the situation, being strong enough to overcome and alleviate any problems so that you're not stuck in a bad, you know, in a bad way when everyone else is fleeing for their lives and, you know, knocking off a few convenience stores and raiding the local you know, the local Sainsbury's or Tesco or Morrison's, wherever you stay at. And so Give it some thought. Let me know what you think in the comments below. How do you feel that life is going to be in the near future? And are you prepared to deal with it accordingly? Again, what was I saying? Save your money. Four of Pentacles. Save your money as much as you can. When shit does hit the fan, just bail out and get yourself a nice boathouse because the tide is rising. So that's all I can say. Anyways, gonna leave it at that. I'm trying to have positive news for a lot of Sagittarius, for a lot of the signs I'm reading here, but I feel that there's something on the horizon that is not going to play nicely with the entire collective, and you'll just need to be prepared. I was listening to someone talk about the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. I think that was Robert Burns who coined that, but don't quote me on that. Of course, we do have Of Mice and Men, and which is a nice novel where that is also coined in as well. So, good luck, Sagittarius. When shit hits the fan, bring an umbrella. That's all I can say. Thank you very much. Until next time, love and light.